The Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone is an enormous center for criminal activity of all kinds. Drug trafficking, human trafficking, and scam operations.
Victims have been mostly deceived by online ads promising career opportunities abroad with good pay.
They keep my passport when I arrive in the Laos land. After that, they teach me how to become a scammer. I work here, this building.
One man allegedly controls this transnational crime hub. Chinese national Zhao Wei.
Zhao Wei is in charge. He sets the rules, and Chinese organized crime groups have become some of the most powerful criminal networks, both in Southeast Asia and beyond.
Laos is a communist country with close ties to the Chinese Communist Party. So China has dramatically more influence in Laos than, say, the United States. The big question here is whether China eventually decides they want to put a stop to this or not. One of the mysteries here is China's attitude to Zhao Wei. They seem to be overall somewhat tolerant of him.
So who is Zhao Wei, and why is an alleged crime boss allowed to run this place like his personal kingdom?
So we're here near the Burmese border in far northern Thailand, following a unit of the Thai army who are patrolling these woods, as they do frequently, looking for drug traffickers. The Thai army, they find large volumes of drugs coming over the border just about every week, particularly methamphetamines.
In the videos that we received from the Thai military, we can see army officers trying to secure the northern border of Thailand that it shares with Laos and Myanmar. Sometimes during these patrols, they will have to confront with drug traffickers.
A record 169 tons of methamphetamines was seized in Southeast Asia last year. 82% of that came from the three countries that make up the Golden Triangle: Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand. And at the very heart of it lies the Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone, also known as the GTSEZ. Meth trafficking has exploded across the region in recent years. It's commonly packaged in tea packets, with the GTSEZ in Laos acting as a perfect location for storage and distribution.
If you do want to get large quantities of drugs out of Southeast Asia, you do often have to go through Thailand. It is the most internationally connected of the countries in mainland Southeast Asia. The Thai government over the years has tried to stop drug shipments coming over Thailand's borders, particularly with Myanmar and Laos.
ในการปราบปรามขยายผลเราสามารถที่จับกุมยาบ้าได้ถึง121ล้านเม็ดเศษนะครับไอส่วนไอซ์ประมาณ 1,890 กิโลกรัมนะครับเฮโรอีนประมาณ231 กิโลกรัมแล้วก็ฟินก็ประมาณ188 กิโลกรัม
The self-governing GTSEZ was founded by Zhao Wei, who's been called out by U.S. authorities for his alleged involvement in trafficking drugs from Myanmar.
过去都说金三角毒害人，是吧？那么现在经过我们共同努力，是吧？这个地方变成这个经济、金融这个各方面都发展的一个地区，就容纳不了这些。 污泥作水，这个毒品在它就在这形成不了了。
These criminal groups have focused on a full range of criminal markets. That includes narcotics, it includes precursor chemicals, it includes human trafficking, as well as online scamming.
Crypto slaves are spent working around the clock sending these spam text messages to you. And it turns out the messages are mainly sent by people in Southeast Asia who are themselves victims of human trafficking.
We have very clear public statements from law enforcement bodies, including the United States Treasury Department, which enforces sanctions, saying very emphatically that what is going on here is not legal. What we saw, and what indeed the Thai military are able to do, is really a relatively small effort in the context of the overall drug trade.
At the center of the GTSEZ is the King's Romans Casino.
These casinos play an important role in capital flight and illicit financial transfers. They are, according to tons of different law enforcement agencies, critical nodes for how criminal organizations launder the proceeds of illegal activities into the legitimate financial system.
A lot of the drug money gets laundered through the casinos, and some argue that that is in fact one of the key reasons as to why the zone was established in the first place. This is something that the UN Office on Drugs and Crime has documented over the years in quite some detail.
แต่ทางที่มองคือผมมองว่ามันคาสิโนนี้มันก็จะเป็นลักษณะว่ากลุ่มลูกค้าส่วนหนึ่งก็เข้าไปเล่นการพนันต่างๆจะใช้เป็นการที่รวมกลุ่มการติดต่อประสานงานกันได้นะครับ
But Zhao Wei denies any involvement with the drug business.
Zhao Wei very much leans into the image and the role of a venerated leader in the Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone. On the YouTube channels that are associated with the zone, we see videos of Zhao inaugurating a very lavish ceremony of the Bokyo International Airport being opened. And we see him rubbing shoulders with senior Laos government officials.
In 2007, he reached a deal with the Laos government to create the Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone. He was given a 99-year lease on about 39 square miles of territory, and the terms of the deal essentially put him in charge of this patch of the country. Ostensibly, it is a legitimate tourism and commercial project designed to bring development to this poor part of Laos. His companies publish these very glossy brochures for prospective investors in the GTSEZ. It's like looking at the annual report of a Fortune 500 company.
Zhao Wei is from northern China originally. He spent a significant amount of time in the late 90s, early 2000s, first in Macau and then in northern Myanmar. And his main focus there was the casino business, later pivoting to align quite closely with an ethnic armed organization in northern Myanmar known as the National Democratic Alliance Army, or the Hmong Law Army. It's no coincidence that many of the labor, the security forces inside of the zone also come from northern Myanmar.
Something happened that really gave Zhao Wei a clear path to dominating this region. The Mekong Murders were attacks in 2011 on 2 Chinese cargo vessels in the Mekong. 13 sailors were killed. There was this huge manhunt supported by China in the Golden Triangle, which led ultimately to the arrest of a warlord, a local strongman named Na Kam. He was extradited to China and ultimately executed. The elimination of Na Kam kind of set Zhao Wei up for enormous success that he's been able to achieve since. In his telling, he is a legitimate businessman who, if anything, has been driving drug trafficking out of the Golden Triangle.
如果我能把这个地区建设起来，让老百姓脱贫，生活好了还贩毒吗？
In a 2023 interview with Thai media, he said the zone does not allow drug trafficking, human trafficking, and scam operations. He said the U.S. sanctions against him are a geopolitical issue.
因为我就是中国的公司，说白了吧，还是中美，美国围堵中国的问题嘛。
But when you do speak to law enforcement officials who've investigated the GTSEZ and Zhao Wei, they just find these denials laughable. In the view of law enforcement officials, the illegal activity absolutely continue and absolutely remain at the core of the enterprise. I spoke to an Indonesian woman who we're going to call Siti to protect her identity. And she had a story of being trafficked into the SEZ. So she saw a job ad on Facebook. She was promised a role working in graphics for computer games.
They pay for everything until I arrived in Laos, and after that, everything changed.
Shortly after she arrived, her passport was taken away. She was in a building that was locked. You couldn't leave without a special access card. And her job was to hang out on dating apps, Tinder, Badoo, things like that, befriend lonely American men, get them to trust her. Around the pandemic, there started to be reports of the emergence of these scam centers. It wasn't just in the GTSEZ. There are a few other places around Asia that became known as scamming hubs.
We identified 64 billion US dollars per year were stolen by these Chinese origin criminal syndicates operating both in Southeast Asia as well as elsewhere around the world. You now have hundreds of industrial scale compounds where people are engaged in very elaborate and sophisticated forms of online scamming that we would refer to as pig butchering scams. The scammer builds a relationship of trust with the victim.
I need to have sad story for meet the guy in online chatting.
The perpetrator then tricks the individual into downloading some type of a cryptocurrency trading app, which is completely under the control of the scam syndicate.
They have the application to give you profit, like 1,000, 2,000. Then after that, you put more, until you put all of your money.
Once the perpetrator senses that the victim has really put everything in that they have,
Because
they'll go in and slaughter the victims. And this is why it's called pig butchering.
100,000 more is not on us hand anymore, it's on the boss.
I've seen some videos and photographs of the inside of these scam centers. They look like totally normal offices. This is a white-collar technology industry with a few important differences. One is that most of the workers are effectively prisoners. Another is that if you fail to hit your targets, you might be beaten up or you might be locked in a room without food for a week, which is what happened to two people we spoke to for this story.
The Thai locals we spoke to seem to have mixed feelings about the Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone. They can go there for legal gambling, which is not something that they can do in Thailand.
What law enforcement, whether in the US or Thailand or anywhere else, keep running into is the sovereignty problem. The basic rule of international relations is the FBI or the DEA or the Thai police or the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime cannot do anything in a country that doesn't want them doing it.
The most evident example of Lao government's support for Zhao Wei is the fact that they hold a 20% stakes in the Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone.
There is one country that almost certainly could do a great deal to change how things happen in the GTSEZ, and that's China. Laos is effectively a Chinese client state. There are huge amounts of development assistance that come from China every year. This is an area that China views as strategic, and if criminal actors can be useful in those pursuits, China is perfectly willing to at least turn a blind eye to their activities, if not in some cases partner with them. But that doesn't mean that if the tide shifts or China views its interests as changing, it won't turn on Zhao Wei. So for now, this place is going to continue to expand, and from the perspective of law enforcement in Asia and beyond, it will continue to be a very big problem.
Thousands of trafficked victims still remain trapped with no rescue in sight. As for Siti, her nightmare is far from over.
I'm still scary because last year my friends say like they keep looking for me.